Yes, I am normally a Sega collector, but your eyes do not deceive you. I do actually like a lot of Pac-Man merchandise as well. So Sonic is one of my favorite video game franchises of all time. A close second, Knights from Nights into Dreams. A close third, actually not a Sega property. I really like Pac-Man. Pac-Man is one of those games that I've been playing literally since I was a child. I don't know why, I've just always loved it. I love the aesthetic of an arcade. I love arcade games, and I grew up playing Pac-Man. My parents loved Pac-Man when they were in the 80s. So Pac-Man was something that I always had kind of in the household. The reason I wanted to start collecting Pac-Man merchandise is not because I want to be known as like the guy who has a whole bunch of Pac-Man merch the same way I want to be known as like the Sega collector. I just want to own Pac-Man merch because there is a shockingly little amount of Pac-Man merchandise out there in the world. You have like t-shirts and coffee mugs, and you have some weird, disgusting looking Pac-Man stuff from like the 80s, but the more common Pac-Man design that you see with like the black eyes and the orange gloves and everything, there is not a whole lot of Pac-Man merchandise, figures, plushes, the like, of him with that design, which I find super bizarre. A lot of people know like the classic Pac-Man, like that half circle, so there's a bunch of stuff like that, but it's very hard to find that Japanese Pac-Man or Pac-Man world design of Pac-Man in merchandise form. Now this is normally not a display that I have. I actually took down a lot of my Sega merch just to put up Pac-Man stuff for this video, so I've divided the collection into 3 separate shelves. The first top shelf is kind of miscellaneous Pac-Man stuff I've acquired throughout the years, some of my favorite items and some of my rarest items. The second shelf consists of the Pac-Man World games, a few other games I have, and some very tiny figures, very small. And the third shelf is Pac-Man plushes, which I think I have more, I just don't know where they are. That's another fun thing about this Pac-Man collection. Because I am more primarily a Sega collector, my Pac-Man merch is usually in boxes somewhere in the attic or something, so this is not even all I have. And because I care more about the Sega and Sonic stuff, I don't really catalog a lot of my Pac-Man stuff, so you're just kind of seeing things, frankly, as I just have them lying around. So this is going to be a little bit unscripted, but let's begin with the first shelf. Alright, shelf number 1. This is the miscellaneous Pac-Man merchandise shelf. So I'm going to run through these things pretty quickly because some of them are just kind of like simple things and other things really deserve a spotlight. So let's begin first with a little retail display of the Pac-Man candy. This is from 2013, I believe. They've been making the Pac-Man candy for years. I've got 3 different tins here of the Pac-Man arcade machine design. And then I have 2 different versions. This is a 2008 Pac-Man candy tin, and this is a more recent one, so you can see they kind of decided to go for the pixelated look for later versions of these Pac-Man candies. I also have Blinky and the Blue Ghost. These all had little candies inside. The candies were shaped like ghosts on these ones, and the candies in here were actual tiny little like power pellets, which was very cute. Over here we have some vintage Pac-Man, I don't know what this is, Pac-Man little trading cards from the 80s. My friend just gave this to me because he went to a collection and found these once. I haven't really opened them because I don't really have a need to open them, but they are certainly cool to have as a collectible. Super Pac-Man, that's a 1982 game? I don't remember. Right here, this actually isn't official. This is something that I just made like for fun in a ceramics class when I was younger. This was not like a graded assignment, I just made this for fun. It's a little ceramic Pac-Man. This vile, disgusting creature is a 1980-something Coleco Pac-Man figure. I think these were available in the US and the UK. I wasn't around in the 80s, so I would not know. He is in a horrible state. I did not grow up with this. I found this at Comic-Con, New York City Comic-Con, in a box of random things for $1. And for $1, I mean, hey, that's one more Pac-Man I can add to the collection. This is his like Atari 1980s design, so he has the really creepy red eyes and like the big cheeks and everything. And he had like white gloves and shoes. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll fix it up. Maybe I'll leave it as is, but for now, that's what I've got. Here we have the Pac-Man amiibo. Amiibos nowadays aren't really worth much at all, but I did get this on like launch day. When these officially came out, I left school early to get the Pac-Man amiibo. My mom, because I was younger then, my mom had to drive me, and she brought me to GameStop, left school early just to see if they had this, and they did. So I was really happy to have that because this right here, for me growing up in the US, was the very first official piece of Pac-Man merchandise of his like Pac-Man world design, his Japanese Pac-Man design, that I had ever seen, that I have ever held in person. Everything else from his world design came much later, or it was from Japan, so I didn't have it. There's not too much to say about these little guys. I don't know if these are Japanese or if they're US, I don't know. I found them on a website called Joss, so I got them from Japan. They're just little keychains, but it's the Japanese design of the characters. These are more recent, probably came out within the last like 3 years. We've got Pac-Man giving a thumbs up with the wink, Pinky, Inky, Clyde, who is missing a hand, and Blinky, so these are very cute. It's great to have the ghost characters, because Pac-Man's cool, but like what's Pac-Man without the ghosts? And I love that this is like the Japanese designs of them. These are the ultimate designs of the characters and the ones that I grew up with, and I'm so glad that they're using again. This guy, so many people have never seen this in their life. Like a lot of people don't know about this. This is from Japan. I don't know how you had to get it, but I assume it was like a Namco arcade prize or something. It's literally just a piggy bank with a slot in there, and then you take this little hole out, and then you get all your coins. Just a Pac-Man piggy bank. You can't really articulate it. You can move his gloves for whatever reason a little bit. Oh, there he goes. So he's pretty cool. And I put him next to the Pac-Man collection box for the Game Boy Advance because that is the exact pose, the weird T-pose that he's doing on an official box art. I don't know, I think that's very funny. This was fantastic to receive because I grew up playing Pac-Man Collection all the time, so to have this is very great. Moving on, we have some Pac-Man bandages. I got these for, I don't know, some birthday when I was like still a teenager or something. Very cute, not much to say, just little bandages. Another Japanese Pac-Man. This one is him giving the wink and the thumbs up. Also from Japan. Again, also I assume a Pac-Man or a Namco arcade prize. Just like this Pac-Man, there's a little hole in the top. Yeah, you can see it right there. He's another coin bank. So this one's much taller, that one's a little smaller. These are great. Like this is so early 2000s Pac-Man nostalgia. Anyone who grew up with the World games knows exactly what I mean, because that was the pose he always did in the concept, in the promotional art. Awesome stuff. This right here is a recent gift from Aaron, who was in my most recent video about the Sega 2003 Tokyo Game Show video. And he helped a whole bunch with that video, but he also got this for me for I think either Christmas or my birthday. I don't remember. It's normally on a shelf, but I decided to put it on this little bookshelf thing for the collection video. It lights up, nothing too crazy, but very aesthetic for a game room. Love it so much. This is from 2007 or 2008. This is a Hallmark Pac-Man arcade machine ornament thing. You might remember that right before I relaunched the channel a couple months ago, one of my last videos before the big relaunch was a kind of documentary on the short-lived Pac-Man arcade brand or chain of arcades that Namco was about to push, and then COVID happened, and then they just destroyed the whole thing. Very bizarre. This was a little prize that you could get only at the Pac-Man arcade, Pac-Man Zone as they called it. So very happy to have a piece of Pac-Man Zone merchandise. If you haven't watched that video, please do. I think more people should know about this. It's certainly a footnote in video game preservation history. Okay, one of my absolute favorite items in this entire collection has to be this Pac-Man cartoon design figure. In the 1980s, I believe 1982 is when the show came out, Hanna-Barbera, that's the studio that made like the Flintstones and everything, made a Pac-Man Saturday morning cartoon, and it was the first video game cartoon ever made, and it certainly shows. It's cheesy, it's stupid, it's low quality, it's not very good, but I grew up watching it on TV. In 2005, the show came back onto airing on a channel called Boomerang. So every like Tuesday, I'd come home from school when I was really young, and the Pac-Man cartoon would be on. So I have very great memories of watching that stupid, stupid show, but it made me so happy as a kid. This is a little figure of Pac-Man from that show. So as you can see, the box art actually shows his design and the other characters' designs on it. This figure doesn't really do much. Yes, you can move his like arms and everything, but it doesn't really do much. The box boasts that it's musical, but it's just a squeaky toy, so that's an absolute lie. Other side of the box has like the ghost designs from the show with the little hats. They gave all the characters hats. I thought that was really cute. Absolute favorite piece. Incredibly, ridiculously rare, super hard to find. Even though the show was a success, any merch of it that came out was like exclusive to Italy. For some reason, I couldn't tell you. So this is actually a very recent purchase. Oh, there he goes. That I made only a couple months ago. And I've got it for the best price I've literally ever seen this for in existence. So very happy. So as I said before, the second shelf consists mainly of miscellaneous games and some of the smaller figures that are a bit harder to display. Not a lot of super rare stuff in here, just kind of like the typical Pac-Man stuff. We'll start over here. This is God, I forgot what company made this figure. There was a Pac-Man cartoon in the early 2010s called Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures, and it sucked and it was awful and stupid. But because it was a new cartoon, that was a brand new way to get brand new Pac-Man action figures, which really weren't a thing since the 80s. So I got this in a little blind bag for the show, and I, repainted it when I was a kid to look more like the world design, because I thought that Pac-Man 2014 show or whatever was stupid. So there's that. It came with a little ghost too, and I didn't repaint that because that looks like the classic ghost to me, Here's something really, really bizarre. This was a gift given to me about 7 years ago, and it's incredibly bootleg and not official, but it was sold at Michael's craft store as a Christmas ornament. I don't know how they got away with this, why they even made this, but this was mass produced. You could buy this for like $3 at a real store for an entire year. I have no idea, but very funny to have. Little Pac-Man wind-up of the arcade design, and then the little ghost, Blinky. These, I believe, were the first Pac-Man toys I ever had as a kid. My grandparents actually came back from a vacation and came back with that. They found it at a little store and gave it to me as a souvenir of their vacation, which is really cute. So I've had this for, 13 years, maybe more years than that. Cute little thing, but I don't really do much with it. Pac-Man ceramic mug, a friend gave that to me. Not much to say about it, just a cute little mug. We have Pac-Man World for the PlayStation. I do have Pac-Man World repack for Switch, I just didn't bother to bring the case out. Love it to bits. Pac-Man World 2, literally one of my favorite games ever. Pac-Man World 3, Pac-Man World Rally. So that is the entire World series. And then Pac-Man kind of dropped off the face of the earth for like 10 years after this game. Now he's back, that's pretty cool. This is a recent Pac-Man figure. This is from SH Fig Arts. I think that's how you pronounce the company. They're known for making very high quality action figures of video game characters specifically, but out of the blue they just made Pac-Man, which was a real head turner for a lot of fans of that figure series. But a lot of people said like this is a great way to have a Pac-Man that represents him in Smash Brothers on a shelf with other Smash Brothers figures. So hey, go off. This came with a few accessories, but this is a posable action figure. This you can actually like move around and everything. This is another little Pac-Man light. As you can see, it's kind of flickering here. Very much similar to the one up here, but I've had this for a bit longer. I think I grabbed this one myself. Just some Game Boy games. Pac-Man World for the Game Boy, Pac-Man World 2 for the Game Boy, Pac-Man World 3 for the DS. This is apparently a very hard to find game, so I picked this up at a classic game store, and that was really cool. Namco Museum, Pac-Man Collection, Pac-Pix. Pac-Pix is an awful game. That's my buddy Justin's copy, and he gladly gave it to me because he hated it so much. These are 3 Japanese Pac-Man little keychain figures that came out in the early 2000s. This one might predate, that might be a very late 90s thing. I don't know. These two are exactly the same. I just have 2 of them. This is a Pac-Land figure. Pac-Land was the first platforming arcade game. to my knowledge, and it was also the first Pac-Man platformer. Pac-Land was the game that inspired Super Mario Brothers, so Pac-Land is a real head-turner in video game history, and here's a little figure of him with his little hat, and he has the little wings on his shoes, just like in the game, very cute. Over here is a series of blind box figures which are stupidly hard to find. These are very recent, I think they came out last year or something, but they're ridiculously hard to find. So I don't know if they were Japan exclusive or there's just awful distribution. I couldn't even get these on eBay. I had to go on like Mercari and stuff and get them. It's from a series of Pac-Man collectibles called Pac-Man Goes to Brunch, I think it was called. And it's a bunch of like food-themed little Pac-Man figures, which is just adorable. So I got Pac-Man with his little Pac-Man egg, Blinky with a raspberry pancake, Clyde with a carrot cake, and Pinky with a mimosa. So all really adorable. I truthfully want to put these in my kitchen somewhere, just kind of hanging around. I'm missing the Inky ghost, and I forgot what food he came with, but he is proving difficult to find. I cannot find him at all. This is another figure that was easily, like, readily available to buy in like 2017 or 2018. But then once it was discontinued, it is very sought after. This is a Funko blind box Pac-Man. So it's not a Funko Pop. Funko just made a few blind boxes of video game characters, and Pac-Man was one of them. I had to scoop this up because it is, you know, his world design. So very classic, another great Pac-Man to have, and apparently also very sought after. Moving on to our third and final shelf. This is a tiny shelf of Pac-Man plushes, some more rare than others. Let's get this guy out of the way first because he's the largest and he's kind of covering another guy back there. This is a Japanese Pac-Man plush, and it is very high quality. He is stuffed great, his material is great. He stupidly has the vinyl on his gloves and shoes, and as you can see, that is cracking. So I have to do a much better job of taking care of him. I hate vinyl on plushes, but I get why they did it, because Pac-Man's like shoes and gloves are very shiny in the game, so very cool, awesome plush to have, and very sturdy and high quality. Behind him, we have the ubiquitous Toy Factory early 2000s run of Pac-Man plushes. Toy Factory came back within the last couple years and made more Pac-Man plushes of the arcade design, of the little just like half circle Pac-Man with the little cute looking ghosts. But these are the 2005, if I remember, Toy Factory versions. This Blinky plush here is the actual Blinky plush I've had since 2005. My brother won this in a claw machine for me all the way back in 2005, and I loved it to bits because, again, back then there was not a lot of Pac-Man merch, so that was awesome to have. And of course I wanted Pac-Man himself, but the claw machine only had Blinky. But I'm not complaining. That was awesome. Love this. Here's Pinky, Inky, and Clyde. And if I scoot this guy over, this is just a regular Toy Factory Pac-Man, so he's winking. As you can see, these two plushes are very similar, but this is much more high quality. These were all in the US and UK, and these are like redemption prizes, so the quality isn't that great, but they're still pretty good for what they are. Wrapping up the Toy Factory plushes, this is a Christmas Toy Factory Pac-Man. A little harder to find, kind of sought after. Very nice to have. This is another Japanese Pac-Man plush, which I think came out earlier than the first one I showed you. He's smaller, he's about the same size as the Santa Pac-Man, and he also has vinyl on his shoes and gloves, and it is peeling horribly, so I really, really have to figure out a way to fix this, because at this point, it's just kind of damaged and it's just disgusting looking, and it's a shame. This one also has like beads in his shoes and towards the bottom, so he's a plush filled with stuffing and little beads. His gloves are also vinyl, but they're faring much better than the boots. So there he is. And this is just a little Pac-Man plush I grabbed at FYE a couple years ago, and it screams. And there you have it, squad. That is my entire Pac-Man collection. It is small, but it is modest, and I'm very happy with it. A lot of items in this collection don't have any videos on YouTube, so I'm glad to be the first to kind of present these. This was just kind of like a one-off thing. I like Pac-Man, he's shown up a few times on my channel, but I just thought I'd make this video because it would be fun, and moving onwards, we've got more Sega stuff coming right up. But I hope you enjoyed taking a look at the Pac-Man collection. It's been a great fun collecting these the last couple years, and I hope that I can gain more really rare items in the collection. If I had to choose what a favorite is in my collection, it's undoubtedly the Pac-Man 1982 cartoon design. So love that thing. Alright, thank you so much for watching. This has been TheShnizNite, otherwise known as the Sega Collector, or the Pac-Man Fanatic if you want to go that far. And I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.